The lawyer cleared his throat and looked directly at me. And to my granddaughter Hannah, I leave nothing. Aunt Diane laughed out loud. Cousin Brittany leaned over and whispered just loud enough for everyone to hear, "Guess all that caregiving didn't pay off." I sat frozen in that sterile conference room, surrounded by relatives who already knew what was coming. They'd been smirking since the moment I walked in. "My name is Hannah. I'm 27 years old. And that day I learned exactly what my family thought I was worth. I worked as a home health aide. Not glamorous, not high-paying, but it mattered to me. 3 years ago, I left my tiny apartment and moved in with Grandma Rose. She was 82, sharp as ever, but her body was failing. She needed help. Real help. The kind you can't get from a twice-a-year visit and a bouquet of grocery store flowers. I wasn't the favorite grandkid. I wasn't flashy like Brittany with her Instagram perfect life and designer everything. I wasn't connected like Aunt Diane, who knew everyone in town and made sure everyone knew her. I was just there, quiet, dependable. The one who got overlooked at family dinners and forgotten on group texts. But Grandma Rose saw me, really saw me. She taught me about resilience, about planning ahead, about protecting yourself when the people who should love you don't. I didn't have designer bags or a rich boyfriend or a career that impressed people at parties, but I had something they never expected: patience and a plan. If your family ever made you feel invisible, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I read every single one. You're not alone in this. The will reading happened 1 week after Grandma Rose's funeral. Aunt Diane showed up in a black dress and heels that clicked against the polished floor. She looked devastated, sure, but there was something else underneath. Excitement, greed. Brittany wore oversized sunglasses indoors, dabbing at invisible tears. I wore the same navy cardigan I'd worn to the funeral. I didn't own anything fancier. The lawyer, some guy named Patterson who I'd never met, sat behind a heavy oak desk and opened a folder like he was revealing state secrets. "Thank you all for coming," he said. "This won't take long." He started reading. The house. $350,000 easily. Left to Aunt Diane. The car. Grandma's pristine 2015 sedan. Left to Brittany. The savings account. Every penny. Split between Diane and Brittany. The jewelry. All of it. Even Grandma's wedding ring. The one she wore every single day for 60 years. Brittany. I sat there, hands folded in my lap, waiting. Then he said it. "And to my granddaughter Hannah, I leave nothing. She has already received what she needed." Silence. Then Aunt Diane's laugh, sharp and cruel. "Well," she said, leaning back in her chair, "that's clear enough." Brittany didn't even bother whispering this time. She probably thought playing nurse would get her a payout. The lawyer slid the documents across the desk. Aunt Diane signed without even reading them, just scribbled her name, smiling the whole time. I didn't say anything, didn't cry, didn't argue. I just stood up and walked toward the door. "Oh, Hannah," Aunt Diane called after me, voice dripping with fake sympathy. "You can move out by the end of the month. We're selling the house." I stopped, turned back, looked her right in the eye. "We'll see," I said. Her smile faltered, just for a second. Then I left. 2 days later, I found out about the brunch. Not because anyone invited me. I saw it on Instagram, my cousin Tyler's story. A sunny country club patio. Mimosas, a banner that read, "Celebrating the life of Rose Mitchell, my grandmother, my Grandma Rose." And I wasn't invited to her own celebration of life. I stared at my phone, hands shaking. Then I got in my car and drove there anyway. The country club smelled like fresh-cut grass and expensive perfume. I walked onto the patio in my same navy cardigan and jeans, and every head turned. Aunt Diane's mouth fell open. "Oh, Hannah, we thought you'd be busy, packing." "It's family only," Brittany added, loud enough for the whole table to hear. There was no seat for me, no place setting. Just 12 people gathered around a table covered in pastries and fruit I knew I wasn't supposed to touch. I stood there near the buffet, holding a glass of water I'd poured myself, trying not to disappear into the floor. Then Uncle Rick stood up. Rick was Diane's husband. Loud, overconfident, always smelled like cigars. He raised his glass. "To Rose," he said, voice booming. "A woman who knew how to take care of the people who mattered." He stared directly at me while he said it. Everyone clinked glasses. Brittany leaned over to her mom but didn't bother lowering her voice. "Some people do things out of love. Others, well, we all saw how that turned out." Laughter rippled through the table. My face burned. My throat tightened. I set down the glass, turned, and walked out. No one stopped me. The worst part came 3 days later. I was at the house, Grandma's house, packing up her things, sorting through books and photo albums and a lifetime of memories no one else cared about. My phone rang. Aunt Diane. I almost didn't answer. "Hannah, sweetie," she said, voice sugary and false. "We need Grandma's documents." "What documents?" Bank statements, property papers, anything she kept in that desk of hers." I looked at the desk. Grandma's old oak desk with the squeaky middle drawer. "Why?" I asked. Her voice turned sharp. "Because they're ours now. And if you're hoarding anything, I swear to God I'll call the police." "I'm not hoarding anything." "Good. Then bring everything to my house tomorrow, 10 a.m. Don't be late." She hung up before I could respond. I sat there, staring at the desk. Then I smiled. Because what Aunt Diane didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Grandma Rose had been planning this for 2 years. I remembered the day like it was yesterday. 18 months before she died, Grandma called me into the kitchen. She was sitting at the table, hands folded over a manila envelope. "Sit down, honey," she said. I sat. She slid the envelope across to me. "This is for you. Don't tell Diane. Don't tell anyone. Not until the time is right." I opened it. Inside were legal documents, thick, official-looking papers with stamps and signatures. "What is this?" I whispered. "A trust," Grandma said. "Irrevocable. I transferred 2 rental properties into it. You're the sole beneficiary." I stared at her. "Grandma, Listen to me." Her voice was firm, kind, but firm. "Diane's going to get the house, the car, all the things people can see. But the properties in Maplewood, those generate income, real income, every month. And she doesn't even know they exist." Tears filled my eyes. "Why?" "Because you stayed," she said simply. "Because you cared. And because I know exactly what Diane is." The properties were worth $890,000 combined. And the will Aunt Diane signed? It didn't mention them at all. I called Mr. Brennan the next morning. He was Grandma's private attorney. Not Patterson, the guy who'd read the will. Mr. Brennan was older, kind, with gray hair and a gentle voice. I'd met him once, years ago. "Hannah," he said warmly, "I've been expecting your call." We met at his office that afternoon. He pulled out a file thicker than a phone book. "Your grandmother set this up specifically to avoid probate," he explained. "It's airtight, filed, notarized, taxed, everything. Can Diane contest it?" "She can try." He smiled. "She won't win." He leaned forward. "My advice? Let her make her moves. Let her think she's won. Then we'll respond, legally, cleanly." I nodded. "Good," he said. "When you're ready, we'll file the paperwork. They won't know what hit them. Meanwhile, Aunt Diane got bolder. She started clearing out Grandma's house, posted photos on Facebook of herself wearing Grandma's jewelry, holding up antique vases, smiling like she'd won the lottery. Brittany listed Grandma's pearl necklace on a resale website for $300. I watched it all, said nothing, took screenshots, kept records. One afternoon, I was still at the house, boxing up books, when I heard Diane's voice through the window. She was outside on her phone, laughing. She actually thought caregiving would get her something. What an idiot. I stood there, frozen, listening. No, she'll be out by Friday. I already gave her the deadline, 5 days. Then we're listing the house. I pulled out my phone, took photos of everything, the jewelry she'd taken, the furniture she'd moved, every single thing. Mr. Brennan had said to document everything. So I did. On the 5th day, Diane texted me. Time's up. Keys on the counter by noon. I didn't respond. Instead, I called Mr. Brennan. I'm ready, I said. He scheduled a meeting, private, at his office. He invited Aunt Diane, Brittany, and Patterson, the estate lawyer. Diane showed up annoyed, arms crossed, heels clicking. What's this about? She snapped. I don't have time for— Sit down, please, Mr. Brennan said calmly. She sat. Brittany sat next to her, scrolling on her phone. Patterson looked confused. I wasn't aware there were any outstanding issues. There aren't, Diane said. She just doesn't want to let go. I stayed quiet, reached into my bag, pulled out a folder, slid it across the table. Diane glanced at it. What's this? Open it, I said. She did. Her face went pale. Patterson leaned over reading. His expression shifted, confused, then shocked. These properties, he muttered. They're not part of the will. What properties? Diane's voice was sharp. Mr. Brennan spoke, calm and steady. Your mother owned 2 rental properties in Maplewood. She transferred ownership to Hannah via irrevocable trust in March of 2022. They're worth approximately $890,000 combined. Silence. Brittany looked up from her phone. That's impossible. We would have known. She didn't want you to know, I said. My voice was steady, strong. And she made sure it was legal. Diane's hands started shaking. This is insane. She wouldn't— She did, Mr. Brennan said. It's been filed, taxed, and recorded with the county. It's beyond probate. I'll contest it, Diane hissed. I'll take you to court. She wasn't in her right mind. You manipulated her. You can try, Mr. Brennan said, but you'll lose, and it'll cost you. I reached into the folder again, pulled out a handwritten letter, dated, witnessed, signed. She wrote this 1.5 years ago, I said. Read it. I slid it across. Diane's hands trembled as she picked it up. The letter was in Grandma's handwriting, shaky but clear. To my daughter Diane, if you're reading this, it means Hannah has shared the truth about the properties in Maplewood. I transferred them to her because she earned them, not through manipulation, not through expectation, but through love. Hannah stayed with me. She cared for me. She saw me as a person, not a bank account. You visited twice a year, Diane. Twice. And every time you asked about my will. Hannah never asked for anything. Love isn't something you can inherit. It's something you give. I hope someday you'll understand that. With love, Mom Diane's face crumpled, then twisted. Rage replaced the shock. You manipulated her, she spat. You turned her against me. I took care of her, I said quietly. Every single day. You visited twice a year. Brittany stood up. This is bullshit. It's legal, Mr. Brennan said. And it's final. Diane stood, shaking, furious. She grabbed her purse, looked at me with pure hatred. "You're going to regret this," she said. Then she stormed out. Brittany followed, silent for once. Patterson sat there, stunned. I didn't gloat, didn't smile, just exhaled. It was over. 2 weeks later, I moved into one of the rental properties, a small townhouse on the east side of Maplewood, 2 bedrooms, sunlit kitchen. Grandma had always loved it. Aunt Diane tried to reach out once. A text. "We should talk." I didn't reply. I kept working as a home health aide, used the rental income to pay off my student loans, started a small savings account. Nothing flashy, just stable, secure. I didn't post about it, didn't rub it in anyone's face, I just lived. One Saturday morning, I drove to the cemetery, brought fresh flowers, white roses, Grandma's favorite. I knelt by her headstone and whispered, "Thank you for seeing me." The wind rustled through the trees, peaceful, quiet. And for the first time in my life, their silence didn't hurt me. It freed me. I finally understood I never needed their approval. I just needed to honor the one person who saw me for who I really was. If you've ever been underestimated by your own family, I want to hear from you. Hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I actually read every single one. And if you've ever had to stand up for yourself when no one believed in you, share your story below. You're not alone. This channel is for the people who were overlooked, underpaid, and underestimated, and came out stronger anyway. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.